What's up, boys? In this video, I'm going to break down the exact business model that has allowed my AI agency to close multiple five-figure deals, from actually creating the offer, getting the attention, and then, of course, fulfilling on that service. It's not like a regular agency where you're going to be charging retainers. We are in the phase of building and releasing AI infrastructures, AI growth solutions into many different companies. Usually we're focused on local service because they're less sophisticated, but of course you could choose any niche, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. I'm going to walk you through, actually going into a market, choosing your niche, choosing the offer, getting attention, owning that attention for yourself, and starting to, educate and nurture these leads. And then obviously you need to have a conversion process and then to fulfill on your offer. So first thing we can hop into is what it's actually broken down to. It's broken down into three different stages. So phase number one is the offer stage. Now, obviously you need an offer and you need to dial in your niche. Phase number two is lead gen, getting appointments and getting clients. And then phase number three, obviously, is results and retention, right? So offer, attention, owning that attention, educate, convert, and then fulfill. So the first thing is market, obviously. And these are just the things that you need to be asking yourself when you're looking to choose a niche and looking to get into a certain market. So first thing you need to do is gather your own insights and resources. Let's say if your parents are, dentists or remodelers, or any certain insight that will allow you to have a competitive advantage. That is always a great way to start off, because you're going to have resources, you're going to have access to knowledge that not many people have, and you can also get insights really, really quickly if someone close to you is in that space, or if you've been in that space previously, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is, what could get the biggest ROI from accessing, or who could get the biggest ROI, from accessing this? So you get the insights, you get the resources. Now, who can get the biggest ROI from accessing these insights and these resources? Who could you give these resources to so that they can get a really big return on investment? And that is the promise that you're going to give them. That's going to be the foundation of your offer. Now, the probability of your promise. Now, who can you almost guarantee success to? Like, again, do you have previous experience in this space? Who can you almost guarantee success to because you speak their language, the technical terms, anything like that? You want to have the probability of the promise almost at 100%. Obviously, it's not going to be 100% because you cannot guarantee results at 100%, right? But you want to have it as high as possible because it's going to be easier for you in the long run. Capabilities: who can effortlessly afford this ROI? Obviously, you don't want to choose a market where they're really, really cheap, they have a broke mindset, anything like that. You want to make sure that obviously it's high ticket enough, and you want to be dealing with people who can actually afford your services, because you're going to be charging a lot up front. So if you answer all these questions and you go through the promise, the probability of the promise, and the capability of actually having them afford your service, then easily you're going to be able to choose a market. And I would stick with that market for at least 6 months before you decide you even want to choose, before you even want to change at all. And then from there you can decide if you want to change. But honestly, any single market can work if you stick with it for long enough. You'll see there's no point in really jumping from market to market. So that is choosing your niche. Second one is offer. Now, obviously you find people to sell to, but now you need to find what to sell them. First thing is, what is the core belief? What is the core belief in this market that will allow you to create your offer? What do they believe in? What do they want to believe in? Now, most of this is, I don't have enough appointments, I don't have enough leads, marketing is a scam, blah, blah, blah. Those are really like core generic beliefs. Obviously, it can go deeper than that based off the industry that you're in. Second thing is resonance. What does the market want? What do they actually want? Most of the time, it's more appointments, more leads, more clients. If you're in med spas, more patients. So if you're in med spas, there would be more patients. And anything like that. How do they want to hear it? Okay, so most of these local service businesses are going to be super unsophisticated. So you saying AI acquisition, AI systems, AI this, AI that isn't really going to resonate with them. It's not going to hit with them. You have to be able to speak their terms. So remodelers, quotes, estimates, anything like that. Med spas, patients, clients. You need to understand the technicalities, the terms. Use that in your pitch. You use that if you're cold calling. It's going to position you more as the industry expert, that you actually know what you're talking about, rather than just a marketer that says every single thing that every guru does. And you're not a broken record, you're an expert in the industry, and you're here to help them. So that's the resonance. How can we give it to them faster? What is your mechanism? How can we give it to them more effortlessly? So in a way, what we do as an AI agency, as an AI consulting growth firm, is we don't actually go ahead and right off the bat are going to service our clients. We're not tying our time to our success. We build out the right playbooks, the infrastructures, from the offer, from getting them the lead gen, from validating their appointments, their consultations, to actually getting them people to come in on the long run. We get that. Give them the playbook, give them the system, give them the solution, and then on the back end, after the program, the 90 days, that is when we'll start to charge a retainer, because that is how we're giving it more effortlessly on our end, so we don't have to keep servicing, running ads every single day, and then putting out client fires and doing all these things where we're going to constantly be tied to our computer and putting in a lot of effort to make sure that they get average results. Hey, they get better results, we do it more effortlessly, and we also give it to them faster because it's already pre-built, right? And obviously you need to come with your no-brainer offer, pricing model, guarantee, and then from there you'll be able to create your 7-figure offer. So market, offer, now attention. Obviously, volume is super, super important when it comes to this. The more volume, the better. You're going to be able to drastically outperform your competitors. So about 500, 2,000 per day. What we're doing here is obviously there's so many different forms of acquiring attention and when it comes to this volume game, but the two things that we've been doing really well when it comes to inbound and outbound is social outreach. So I kept this pretty generic, but when it comes to literally any single social media platform that you could be doing outreach on, you have to understand where your ICP is hanging out to be able to get the best results. So for us, it's Instagram and Facebook, but for you, it could be X, it could be LinkedIn, it could be, there's so many different ways, and you have to constantly test that. And with enough market research, you're going to be able to figure that out. Now, when it comes to inbound, meta ads obviously are really, really great if you have enough capital to do so. If not, you can just stick to outbound. You can also get pretty good results. Like I said, find the best performing platform in your niche: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is. Choose from there. I wouldn't do more than 2 when it comes to just social outreach. Obviously, you could do content on as many as you'd like, but you want to focus to about 1 or 2. Now, when it comes to people, obviously, when it comes to acquiring attention, you need setters, closers. If you want a media buyer, you can do a media buyer, but I find running ads is super, super easy. So you don't really need that right off the bat. And when it comes to code and media, you need to be able to create sales assets. Obviously, paid ads is another, like creatives. And then outreach CRMs to make your life a lot easier, because sending 500 to 1,000 a day is pretty much almost impossible if you're just doing it manually. Now, if you want a high response rate, you need to find the angle that works best and resonates best with your niche. So either it's a direct response, so you send a message, they respond, you get them onto a call, or you go the value approach, which you send them a message, they respond, you create a quick video or send them an already pre-made video, which is your VSL, and at the end you give them a CTA for a call, but the entire video is basically just walking them through your entire process, basically connecting their pain points to your solution and positioning it in a way where it's valuable, the increased value, the perceived value is super high, it will solve their problems, and that it's inexpensive, right? And then from there, you're going to generate interest, and you're going to get you want 5 to 100 leads per day, and that'll allow you to kind of have a sustainable lead flow, which you can then book appointments and start to get some metrics out of there. So that's how you get attention. Now, to own attention for yourself is super important. Now, the 2 different ways, outbound and ads, are what we were talking about. If you're doing outbound, obviously you want to own attention through content. If you're sending messages on Instagram, people can click on your profile and then just have your content right there. If nothing's there, if it's a completely invisible profile of no trust, no putting yourself out there, no face to the DM, then people are going to be much less likely to even want to get on a call with you. So content is super, super important. Not only does it build trust, despite even them watching any of the videos, but once they start to watch any of the videos, they're going to see that this guy actually knows what he's talking about. He's experienced in the space, and he can actually help me solve my problems. I'm going to answer his DM. Same thing with ads. If you're sending people to a landing page, you obviously want to direct people to content. And no matter what, they're going to look at your content, even if they book a call or they don't, because they want to see if you're trustworthy, right? I know I do this every single time I want to purchase something. I look them up on Instagram, YouTube, whatever I'm purchasing, it depends, but it's very, very important that you're posting content. When you are posting content, you want to make sure that you are collecting people's information if you haven't done so already through, the outbound and ads. And then from there, to own that attention, you just store and you send them through nurture sequences, because not everybody is going to want to watch your content. They're not going to be constantly on, on YouTube or on Instagram or on Facebook, just consuming your content all the time. So that's what you want to basically show up at every single area of their life. So in their email, their SMS, obviously don't spam SMS, but the content, the email, the SMS, you basically just want to show up. So you're basically just top of mind, so that when they do want to go consume your content, or they are ready to kind of take that action to move to the next step, that you're front and center, and they're more likely to go with you, because obviously you're right there, your content right there, the emails are right there, the SMS is right there. And if you send the SMS at the right time, then of course they can opt in through re-engagement, and everything is great on your end. So the way to do this and store all the data is obviously get a CRM. GHL is probably the best one, easiest one to do. And now you have an asset, because you have a lot of information, basically thousands of people who you can just sell to, because you're acquiring them through outbound ads, sending them through your content, collecting their information, and then storing it in your CRM where you can re-engage at any single moment. So most people want to skip this owning attention stage, but it is really, really, really important, so that you're not kind of wasting money on ads, and that you're actually taking the initiative to capture all your leads and to nurture them, and to take the time to actually own the attention for yourself and to be an authoritative figure in the industry. So that's owning attention. Obviously, when you own the attention, now you want to educate. How do you educate? Well, long form content. Short form content is also great, but what we have found as an AI agency is that long form content is going to be the best, because it is, the content, the pieces of the assets are 30, 45 minutes long, compared to just reels, which is going to capture attention and rather than educate. Obviously, you want to kind of create your own ecosystem, but what we have found that has worked really well is by just capturing attention on Instagram, we can then direct people to YouTube and use YouTube as the kind of bottom of funnel where we can convert them through there by having our processing selling VSL on there. And obviously there's other things like emails and different type of short form posts, like on Facebook and on Substack and on X, that kind of support this education process. Now, how do we distribute this? Well, if you're going through a convo, like I mentioned, the outbound, you can distribute and send people to your long form content, or just send people to your processing selling VSL, because remember what I said, there's two different angles you can go towards: direct response or the value approach. When you send people through the value approach, well, your process selling VSL is how you're sending to them. That is a piece of long form content that is educating them. YouTube, obviously, if they're just directly on YouTube, email list, ad through a landing page, any single of these options really work. We're all distributing it through different forms of media, whether it's Convo, whether it's directly on YouTube, whether it's through the email list, or even if it's through cold traffic, like an ad through the landing page. Obviously, you click on the landing page, you have the VSL right there, and they could directly access more of your YouTube videos and consume more content from you. So from there, we've distributed and we've now educated the prospects, which make it effortless to sell to. You don't want to be selling to cold people who don't know anything about what you do. It's going to be hard to sell them. Obviously, you can always sell to cold leads straight from ads who know nothing about what you do, but it being filled with objections, it's going to be filled with unqualified prospects, and you want to get people who actually know what you do, distribute your process to them so that they become educated, and then the deal is very simple to close. So now we have educated prospects who are ready to go, basically, and now all we have to do is to convert them into clients, and then from clients and then fulfill on the offer. Now, how do we convert is through attention generating sales assets. So this is a way where we're educating people on our process. Once again, before they even get onto the call, we want to make sure that they're watching our attention generating sales asset, which can be a multitude of different things, but the number one thing is probably going to be just your process selling VSL. You want to make sure that they've even watched that before they get onto the call. And if they've watched this before, maybe in the education stage, or if they've watched this in your email sequences, then that's great. Make sure they watch it again. And even if you'd like, you can send them another resource, you can send them another asset. as long as they're even more educated than they were before they booked a call. So the goal is to get them excited, to get them to know exactly what we do, and for them to get on the call and basically be like, okay, I'm ready to go. Because someone who's watched your VSL before, maybe through the email list, they might have forgotten exactly what you do. And we want to constantly just remind them so that the sale is a lot easier for us. Have a conversation with them before you get onto the call. Give them a CTA for the roadmap. You're obviously going to book sales calls. So this is basically what the process will look like. Before you book a call, the conversion mechanism, so be it. You send them the process selling VSL, have a conversation with them, uncover more points, more pain points, and kind of give them the way that we can solve them and give them kind of novel ways to solve them and give them advice. And then from there, give them a CTA for a roadmap call on how their pain can be solved and how this process could be valuable to them. Again, very important to speak the language when you're talking to them. Depending on the niche, you want to be mentioning these technical terms, not AI this, AI that, and all these kind of technical glorified terms that you see all through the marketing space, and these gurus are going to be pushing onto you, and automation and everything. You want to be speaking obviously based off your industry, speak in the language. Now you're going to be getting sales calls. You want to have a sales script and sales systems, obviously, because that's going to be more predictable for you, and you're going to be able to handle objections a lot easier because you're going to see many objections are going to come in at the same rate at the same time, and you're going to get a bunch of the same objections. And if you could just handle them beforehand and you know exactly what to expect, sales calls are going to be a lot easier, right? So now you're going to get clients. Now you need to fulfill on these clients, right? You want to have a client journey flow, walk them through exactly what their journey is going to look like with you. If you have a 90-day program, what is the 90 days going to look like? What does it look like even after these 90 days? Make sure they have the utmost clarity. Onboarding systems, obviously you want to have onboarding calls, send them a form so they can fill out their information right away. Have automations in place that will allow you to make this so much easier, right? Obviously onboarding call structure, you don't want to get on the onboarding call and just kind of be a deer in headlights and know nothing about what you're talking about. You want to give them a lot of clarity, show that you've actually done the research, and get them excited to work with you. It's really important that you kind of set out these expectations and that you communicate what the process is going to look like, what the setup is going to look like, and what they should be expecting. So communication key. Set up the the infrastructure, the automations, and get them access to the CRM, everything like that. And then obviously the management side of it if you're offering management, and then kind of give them clarity on what their job is and then what you are going to do, obviously you and your team. And then from there, you're going to get amazing results if you're doing everything properly and you're sticking, to the entire fulfillment process, and you're making sure you're communicating and, adjusting on anything that needs to be adjusted. So that's the entire process that we use to close multiple 5-figure deals upfront, $10,000 to $15,000 upfront, instead of relying on the regular agency model that is kind of just outdated, obviously. You're going to be super tied to your client success, and one little thing, they message you and they go, hey, the ads are not performing like I hope so, and because you're only charging them $2,000 per month, they ended up just refunding and churning instead of staying with you long term and kind of seeing it through. And honestly, that era of the marketing agency model is over. If you're running Facebook ads, SEO, any of these commoditized offers, you're going to be completely kind of destroyed by these bigger agencies, consulting companies that are really acting as growth partners inside these local service companies, and that are providing much more value and charging a lot more upfront, and essentially becoming the one-on-one growth partner that allows them to achieve their dreams instead of just a regular marketing agency like you are. So if you want to learn more on how this model could potentially work and how we can help you go from, if you're a coach, if you're an agency, if you're a consultant, and you want to transition to a more leveraged model of selling AI growth solutions, AI growth infrastructures, click the link down below. There's a free training on exactly what we do. It's a lot longer than this. It'll give you kind of a better breakdown. And if you want, you can click and book a free roadmap call, and we can walk you through exactly how this could work and how we can transition from your agency to being an AI growth partner, AI growth consultant. And from there, I will see you on the other side. Stay tuned to the next video. Ciao.